Got a lot of heartache. He's a weasel. That's right. This year's draft class is being hailed to the king, baby, as one of the greatest wide receiver classes ever. It's insanely deep. There's a lot of great talent up at the top. So two things are going to happen. Number one, a lot of top talent like Jared Jeudy probably going to go top 10. CeeDee Lamb maybe top 10-ish, top 15-ish. But also number two is a lot of good players will be forced down the boards due to supply exceeding demand. Like, do we really need to take a wide receiver here? Well, there's going to be four that we really like in the next round. So you see a lot of teams just passing and just sort of artificially deflating the value of the wide receivers just because there's so many of them. But enter Colorado Buffalo Laviska Shenault Jr. Stud. And overall, quasi-consensus number 3 wide receiver in this draft. Maybe you go 3 and 4 between he and Ruggs, the third from Alabama. But I love this kid. He's a friggin' stud. Would love to see him in purple, given the right situation. But let's get into some of his background. So 6'2", 220-pound, true junior from DeSoto, Texas. Was a 3-star recruit. Part of Colorado's 2017 class, and his monster season came as a true sophomore in 2018 when he went for 86 grabs, 1,001 yards, 6 touchdowns, as well as 5 rushing touchdowns on the ground. First team All Pac-12, also named team MVP. It was amazing. Like, he was the Colorado offense that season. All this, by the way, was in 9 games because he missed 3 due to injury. I think it was either a foot or a toe injury. One of the two. But yeah, that is a little bit of a concern. Production dipped in 2019, his true junior season, as the Buffalo offense struggled as a whole under first-year, also one-and-done head coach Mel Tucker. 56 catches, 764 yards, 4 touchdowns, and also 2 touchdowns on the ground, 7 yards per carry. Pretty good. As Colorado went 5-7, he did earn second-team All Pac-12 honors that season. Was limited at the combine. Did run a 4.58 40, which, for wide receivers, but did rack up 17 reps on the bench press. And for reference, all-world offensive tackle Mekhi Becton, who we're really hyping up, only put up 23. So big, strong, stout wide receiver is Shenault here. So he is going to be undergoing surgery here for a core muscle injuries. Should be out approximately 6 to 8 weeks. Will probably make a full recovery and should be ready for rookie minicamp. So not much to worry about there. But also isn't going to have a pro day. So is that going to hurt him? Probably not. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Every single pro day, except for Teddy's, goes perfectly. And they're like, oh, really help the draft stock and all that other stuff. So Shenault missing a pro day, is that really going to help or hurt him? Don't really know. But there are some durability concerns. That could lower his draft stock, also play a part in it. As well as, like we mentioned, there is a glut of great wide receivers this year. So they're like, all right, so this guy's coming off a core muscle injury. Also has some injury concerns. Do we have him? We have Ruggs. You have the other wide receivers. What about Tyler Johnson? What about Pittman from USC? What about all these other great wideouts? So Shenault currently is number 13 on PFF's big board, which is pretty damn amazing. He's also number 3 receiver behind Jeudy and Lamb. It seems to me a near consensus, late first round pick, early second at the worst. But when I watch him, and the more that I see of him, I love his game. You get a Nuke Hopkins vibe, like a more versatile Nuke Hopkins, where he's not a burner, but big body, great body control, hands like a vice grip as well. Certainly needs some developmental work in route running. For example, like Olabisi Johnson, one of the things that we loved about him coming out of Colorado State is that he was a super polished, super clean route runner. Like, he really was like Stephon Diggs coming out in the 5th round in 2015 out of Maryland, where he could run a complete NFL route tree, could get separation, and separation is the name of the game. But Shenault just simply has more physical gifts, and that's a correlation that you sometimes tend to see, is where if a receiver is just simply more physical, bigger, stronger, faster, whatever, sometimes the route running is a little sloppier, called the Cordero effect. But there's certainly room for Shenault to improve in the route running department. Also, has played all 3 wide receiver spots, played the X, played the Z, played in the slot, very explosive. Also, given the rushing stats, played some running back, played some H-back, I guess, at Colorado. So you get some shades of Percy Harvin, or how Bill Musgrave used Cordero back in 2013, and then Norv did not use Cordero in that manner anymore. Or a more recent comp would be like last year's Paris Campbell, when he's coming out of Ohio State, sort of a do-it-all guy. Shenault not a perfect one-for-one comparison, but just ballparking, you get an idea what's going on. So now the question, why do we bring him up? Why are you bringing up a first-round wide receiver, bro? Well, since when has having more offensive weapons ever been a bad thing? And we talk about all these things like, well, Kirk needs receivers and he needs weapons all around him and he needs an O-line. Well, what will help an offensive line with Kirk is if wide receivers just magically get open more. And yes, you do have the best wide receiver doing the NFL when they're healthy in Thielen and Diggs. But we saw last year when one of them is gone, it's a little bit of a tough road to hoe. Irv Smith Jr. wasn't quite ready for prime time. Olabisi Johnson still a work in progress. Kyle Rudolph is what he is. Dalvin is great out of the backfield. But how about just that sexy-ass dynamic wide receiver 3? I mean, why not? Because also, if the board breaks funny during the NFL draft, which it does, it always does, what if Shenault is the number one player, numero uno, on the Vikings board when they're on the clock at 25? Do they take him? Or would you advocate that they reach for a position of need? It's like, oh, well, this offensive lineman is 40 on our big board, but we'll take him. Or cornerback du jour if Zimmer has his way, which he probably will. Or safety or D-tackle or whatever, just because you need it? Or do you go with the board? And like we always say, drafting for need always keeps you drafting for need. We are definitely on team BPA. And I know what you're saying here is like, well, if the guy number one on your board is a position of need, you got to trade down, bro. Well, it takes two to tango. What if no one wants to trade up? Or what if no one wants to give you requisite value for your trade down? You're in between a rock and a hard place. So, it's so terrible that we have to draft this extremely talented wide receiver and just add him to our group of wide receivers. Also, 98, the Vikings on the clock in the 20s. Randy Moss is there. You got Chris Carter, Hall of Famer. Love CC. Also, you got Jake Reed, who's coming off 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. You don't need a wide receiver there. And also, the Vikings defense back then was pretty bird. So, I know hindsight and history and all that stuff, but at that point, you're telling me Vikings should have just grabbed defensive tackle du jour or cornerback du jour and just passed up on Randy Moss. Just like, feh. Now, I'm not saying that Shenault is in Randy Moss's category, but we're simply making a caricature of the situation. But, so, the question is also, we got to say it, who knows what's going to happen with Diggs? Because who knows? Maybe the Vikings take Shenault to 25, and all of a sudden Diggs, who is still not happy, all of a sudden he's like, oh, you drafted my replacement now. Now I really got to go. So Eric DeCosta, GM of the Ravens, beep, up, boop, gets on the horn, Spielman, 28 overall for Diggs one time. And all of a sudden, baby got Stu gone. But keep an open mind. There's a long way to go in the draft process, even though Shenault's going to be sitting out the rest of it, but it's whatever. But your thoughts? Vikings taking a chance on Laviska Shenault. Let us know in the comment section below. Also, subscribe for daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, post something to Venmo. Plus, give us a follow on social media as well. Until next time, Skull Production Value.